And along with me today, I also have Joyce Persicelli, who is the chair for Founders, correct, Joyce? True, right? Joyce Persicelli is the Founders District DLC chair, and also I have with me past international director Jesse Oakley, who is the District 202 DLC chair. So we're going to be, we all kind of work together to be able to put something together today. But more importantly, we also have each of you here to be able to learn about leadership, learn about some opportunities. In just a moment, I'm going to be able to introduce our keynote speaker, which I know quite a lot of us are very familiar with and everything. I do want to just do a couple of house cleaning things real quick. If you could, during the presentation today, please be sure to mute yourself. We will be doing a screen share as well. So if for some reason you can't see that, make sure you check your settings for which screen you're looking at. And then in true Toastmasters fashion, it wouldn't be a Toastmasters event if we didn't tell you where the bathroom is. So it's somewhere inside your house, not my house. But outside of that, I do ask that you please keep yourself muted. As I said, we will have a break right around 2:50 today. And then we are going to have an opportunity to be able to break into some breakout rooms for each of you to be able to ask some questions, be able to have a little Q&A with some designated people. I will be opening up the breakout rooms during the break, and I will also be assigning each of you to a breakout room. Don't want you to try to pick your friends. Want you to kind of be able to get a chance to be able to meet some different leaders, get some different aspects. Because ultimately, as district leaders, it's about the experience, and we are all very quickly coming on a huge experience of change and transition as leaders. With that, I would like to go ahead and get us started and get rocking and rolling right into our program because we have a dynamic speaker who I'm very fortunate has been able to join us today. So with that, I'd like to go ahead and introduce Pat Johnson, and then we'll get rolling. Pat Johnson has joined Toastmasters International in 1983 in rural northern Manitoba, Canada. During her 4 decades of continuous learning and membership in Toastmasters, she has spoken in a long list of countries around the world as a keynote speaker and educator. Her professional career was in audit education with the corporate government and for nonprofit sectors, where she was responsible for providing training needed to support employees being successful within their roles. She served as District 21 Distinguished Governor of the Distinguished Governor in 2001, 2002, International Director in 2004, 2006 from Region 1, International President of Toastmasters International in 2010, 2011, Learning Master Manager for the curriculum design of our Pathways program, District Host Chair for the International Convention in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada in 2017, wrote and published Building and Sustaining Vibrant and Sustainable Toastmasters Programs and Corporations in 2018, and launched this book at the International Convention in Chicago, Illinois that same year. Region 10 Advisor for Europe and the United Kingdom in 2020, 2021. Region 2 Advisor for Northern California and Nevada in 2021, 2022. Recipient of the Toastmasters Presentation Citation Award, co-chair for the International Disciplinary Committee that supports the Board of Directors for 2023 and 2024. And this is the short one in case anybody's wondering. And the last part, and probably one of the greatest parts, is Pat is proud to be a continuous student within the Toastmasters program and is working towards further pathways achievement. Please, everybody, help me and welcome me, our very distinguished guest, Pat Johnson.
Thank you so much, Jeremy and Jeremiah, pardon me. I'm pretending I don't know him, in case you're wondering, because we've been quite irreverent with one another prior to this call. Anyway, I'm thrilled to be with you today. And as I look around the room, I'm going, emerging leaders, where are you emerging from? From past leadership roles, most of you. But I hope there's also some emerging leaders that are on the call that are aspiring to get started in Toastmasters. And those of you with great experience on here will share your wisdom and your knowledge and your experiences with those newer leaders coming on board, but also to mentor them going forward, because we always are looking for strong mentors and inspirers for our upcoming leaders. When I joined Toastmasters over 4 decades ago, I joined for only one reason, and that was because I really needed to learn. I needed to learn how to walk into a room where there were people. I needed to know how to have some self-confidence and self-belief. I needed to learn way along that continuum how to speak. And I needed to learn how to become a better listener without judging or prejudging who I was listening to, or putting up defenses because I was afraid of what they might say. To this day, as my skills have built, as all of us have had that happen to us, I still look at improving my speaking each time I get an evaluation in my club. And believe me, they're interesting when they're brand new members that have never been in a Toastmasters meeting before, and they're providing the feedback. It is like being out in the real world where we're preparing to be, and I love it. I continue to work on my listening skills. As a coach, I find I need to listen very deeply, not necessarily at the words that are said, but the words that aren't spoken, because people are afraid to say them when they hesitate or they stop mid-sentence, and it's following them into that space. So it's a great experience. And Toastmasters for me has always been that safe, fun environment where I could do it. And I'm ever so grateful to Toastmasters. Therefore, I stay involved, I mentor people, and I continually look for places to serve the organization as best I can. And I'm grateful for that. I'm also super grateful for all of you that I've seen walk through leadership roles already. I've had the privilege of seeing many of you in action time and time again, and I'm thrilled that I see so many faces on my screen that I recognize and know that you're still active. It is the heart and soul of our organization to keep supporting all those new people that come in the door. They need us here, and for us to stay current and relevant. So as we mentor and coach, we are supporting them in the way that we have to be today, not how that we were when I joined in 1983. Things are very, very different. Not the way they were when I was president, which was now 15 years ago. Who would have thunk that I'd still be speaking after 15 years of being the president? But here I am, and thrilled to be so. So today I want to talk to you about learning through leadership. This is a topic that I'm super passionate about, because Toastmasters is only in existence because it is a learning program. Oh, we put lots of titles on it. We call it lots of things in our lives. We talk about volunteering here. We do all kinds of words and purposes for Toastmasters. But when we look at the purpose of Toastmasters, it is a not-for-profit education organization. Full stop. That's it. So in my mind, and I hope in yours, that makes us all students, because we've paid money to belong to an education organization, and nobody's paying us to be the professor, right? Nobody has that position in this organization. So therefore, we're all students, and we get to learn, which we know is one of the principles of Toastmastering, is that the peer learning aspect. So I went and I was curious, because I've always felt like every leadership role I took was an opportunity to learn something more. And I was always looking for, what would that be? What would I learn? How could I learn? And so some of you today may be looking at, what could you learn and what would it cost you to do that as an area director or a division director or club growth, program quality, district director, perhaps even curious about international director or on to the executive committee. And if you're curious, you're in a good place because we can talk about that today. But when I looked at what learning leaders were, because I thought, well, that's what I feel like I am as a learning leader. I take on a role in Toastmasters. I don't know how to do it. It's not so when we go to the world of work, there they want to know that we know how to do it already. But in Toastmasters, we arrive, we don't have to know how to do it. So we're going to learn while we do the leadership role. So I'm going to share I'm going to share some screens as we go throughout this presentation. So bear with me when I disappear from the screen and share some, but I think it helps for some people that like to learn visually. So looking at learning through leadership. Well, there's 5 key traits that I found on when I looked this up that are of learning leaders, that they demonstrate our leadership. And the first one is that we accept multiple types of employees. Now, here we could put members or other students. And isn't this how Toastmasters works? We don't usually get to pick our teams. We get a multiple type of people showing up both in our clubs, in our areas when we're area directors, on our club executive when we're area directors, division directors, when we're on the trio. We don't get to pick them. But I've always felt that that was my gift, that whoever was on my team was the lesson I most needed to learn. And I hope you've felt that way. What I know is that that person that was very different than me and might have felt quite difficult to deal with from my judgment perspective represented somebody in the population that I might meet at work, I might meet in my social life, certainly in my community engagement. So could I learn from this person? And so I saw that as a learning opportunity. So as a learning leader, I'm going to encourage you, if you feel that you're a learner in life, that you accept the multiple types of people that show up in your life and go, what is this person going to teach me? And embrace that lesson, because I know that some of the more challenging people that I've met and worked with and worked things out with, I've learned the most from, and they've had the most impact on me. And I see some heads nodding, so you've also had that experience. So thank you for sharing that, and continue to do that as we work to communicate and connect and collaborate with multiple types of people. Work to foster engagement. This is something that we do from the moment we get into Toastmasters, from my viewpoint, as soon as we hit leadership. If we're learning, we're looking at how can I get everybody moving to the same goal? Or how do we, not necessarily my end, but how do we agree on where we're going? And how do we foster that engagement? How do I work with somebody who's very detail oriented and keep them engaged when I'm a big picture? I'm very strategic. I'm always dreaming way far out. And when I've got somebody that's way down in minutia, how do I learn to foster engagement with that person? That's my learning as the leader. It's not for me to say you've got it wrong. It's for me to say, how can I foster engagement? How do I understand this person's way of engaging so that we can work together and be stronger as a team, not divisively, but together to have that. The third one is to understand how to learn. And we get to do this in Toastmasters. I love the fact that Toastmasters meeting is a Toastmasters meeting because we get immediate oral evaluation. That's one of the criteria for it to be a true Toastmasters meeting. You have to receive an oral evaluation. And I love that because it gives us an opportunity to learn every week. When Yamanga gets an evaluation and I'm sitting in the meeting where Yamanda is sitting, that doesn't mean that it doesn't apply to me. I need to, as a learner, as a leader learner, be going, what is there for me there? I never thought of it that way. What could I do differently? Can I adapt? So there's all of that, learning how, understanding how to learn. And because if we've been around for, well, some of you have been around, I know, 3 decades. Some of you may be around 4 decades. I'm not going to put time and ages on you. I'll do that for me. But a lot of these faces are familiar for a lot of years in my life. And are we still learning? Like, that's what keeps us engaged. That's what keeps us young. That's what keeps us vibrant. And most importantly, that's what keeps us relevant. So we need to learn from our younger members when they come in, people from different cultures than us, people that have different backgrounds, different education backgrounds, different perspectives. That's what keeps us learning. And we need to understand how to learn from them and to keep that mindset. As learning leaders, that's important. Practice accountability. How many of you, you don't have to answer this out loud right now because I'm going to get to this later, but how many of you actually openly practice accountability in your life? Some of you are raising your hands because you're proud that you do. I would say that I probably would not have accomplished half of what I've accomplished without my accountability partners. I know for a fact that I would have gone to the gym probably a tenth of the times I've gone to the gym without my accountability partner. And she likewise would have gone probably a tenth of the time that she went without me. And I have friends that I know for a fact wouldn't have achieved some goals if I wouldn't have held them accountable when they phoned and said, would you hold me accountable? But that's what leaders do. And accountability is a very powerful word. And this power is nothing but positive power. Accountability to me, without a doubt, has absolutely no negative connotations. Some people see it as negative, not me. For me, it is 100% positive. Because for me, when I hold somebody accountable, it's because I see them doing what they want to do. I see that ability. I see that potential in them, and I hold them accountable to be all that they want to be. And that is nothing but pure positivity. And I think as leaders, that's one of our roles, to see the capability, to see the potential in people, to call them forward, to invite them into leadership and hold them accountable for what they want to achieve. And I think that's a great compliment. I know my mentors did that for me. And to this day, I'm grateful, and I hope I can pay it forward as much as they have done for me. And finally, the fifth key trait of learning leaders that I discovered was understanding how to develop a plan. Now, I just love the fact that so often we set out and there's just this knee jerk, oh, let's go get it done. And I go, well, what are we doing? Oh, we're just going. I go, I don't think that's a good plan. Let's figure out what's the deliverables, who's involved, what are the steps. And so actually we do this again in Toastmasters. Toastmasters is a beautiful environment for learning leaders because we actually practice all these things. We develop a plan, we sit down, we decide if we want our club to be Smedley's Distinguished this year or President's Distinguished. We work towards that. We enroll our other members. We bring along our brand new members and foster engagement with them. We work with whoever's in our team. We continue to learn and bring them along. And what we know is that when we teach, we really learn something. So when we're teaching and mentoring, we really get to learn. And I think that when we understand how to develop a plan, we also then, by just continuing to work with that plan, implement the plan, because leaders need to implement plans, not just make plans. They can't go on the shelf. Leaders pull them off and get busy with them. So it's I congratulate each one of you for looking at yourself as a learning leader and the traits that are identified out in the world of Google and beyond. So becoming a learning leader, well, when we think of all those traits, there are things, and as I mentioned, a lot of places where we can work on this. And it's looking at our experiences in our club, it's taking that feedback, it's building the competencies, it's accepting the responsibility. It's about being flexible, creative, innovative. And if you're a person that fails to follow through, learn to clean that up and go back and make a recommitment and get it done, because that's what leaders do. And so we want to continuously, as we're learning leadership in Toastmasters, we want to keep building our competencies so that we can continually grow and contribute in Toastmasters. So just for a couple of minutes, I just wanted to hear from a few people. If you want to raise your hand or unmute and shout out, what do you believe leaders of today need to know? So what do you think leaders need to know today? And there's no wrong answers. So all of you that have been leaders and all of you that aspire to be leaders, what do you think it's important? Bill Kirby, there you are, a current leader.
Thank you very much. I think what leaders need to know, among many, many things, is actually to be observant of the needs of the people on their team, so that, we all have the tendency to communicate in our own style and in the way that we might want to receive information, but we have to be observant enough to communicate in the style that our team members need to receive information.
Right. Yes. Fantastic. So it's a time where we have to always be learning, because we're checking out those new people on our team. What do they need so that they hear what we're talking about and they understand? Richard Snyder, welcome. There's an
Hi,
old buddy
Pat.
of mine. Hi, Richard.
Yes, hi, Pat. Communication and listening, and also
Yeah.
flexibility.
Yes. Thank you so much. Even on the board. Thank you for that. Frankie, there you are. Hi. You're muted. You're muted, Frankie.
Here I'm talking away.
Yep.
It's so good to see you again, Pat. I love when you say continue to learn, because the last 4 years, my technology aptitude has gone way up. And, I'm sliding into my 80s this decade. And people in my generation just don't seem to want to do that a lot. And yet, in order to be totally engaged, in order to encourage engagement with everyone, we have to be able to be flexible enough to communicate in the numerous ways that we do, and plenty engaging in AI these days. So those are the things that I'm impressed with.
Yes, good. Fantastic. Thank you. Kathy, what do leaders need to know today?
I believe we need to really embrace the diversity when building teams to assure that we have a perspective that represents our whole community.
Yeah. And when we do that in Toastmasters with 150 countries, that's pretty challenging, because lots of us haven't been in all 150 countries to know what that culture is. So it's a challenge, yes. Jesse.
Hello, Pat. There are three
Hi.
knows when it comes to leadership. Know yourself, know the team that you're working with, and know the chessboard. Know the pieces that are on the chessboard to actually focus on strategy. Now, those are the three knows that would be very helpful when it comes to leadership.
Okay, great. Oh, I've got lots of hands up. This is wonderful. Charlotte, you're next. Hi, Charlotte.
Thank you, Pat. I think the most important of all that we do is to be clear and have clarity about what you're doing.
Okay, wonderful. And so that might mean that you have to check in, ask questions, clarify, rephrase, reframe, all those good conversation techniques, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And as
Yeah.
Stephen Covey said, seek first to understand and then be understood.
Yeah.
Good old
Yeah.
Stephen Covey, still relevant. Sana.
Thank you so much. I think other than all the amazing things that were shared today, I think as we are embracing diversity, we should also, as leaders, be mindful that we have to embrace the difference of opinions that comes along with this diversity. So now there are multiple people with different mindsets and opinions, and if you receive these different challenges coming from different cultures, backgrounds, and diversity, then as leaders, you need to navigate those situations accordingly and be open to listen to those differences of opinions.
Absolutely. Thank you, Sana. It raises a memory for me of just talking to somebody that I'm mentoring in the UK, not in the UK, but in Europe. And we were talking about corporate clubs. We were talking about what they could try. And their feedback was, but this corporation doesn't hold meetings that way anymore. And I went, oh, that's really important difference because they're not all the same. And this was very, very different. So we just have to be open to new information all the time, because wherever we look, people are doing things differently. Younger people do it differently than people that were born in the 50s or the 60s, and we all bring our different strengths and our challenges. So it's a challenge to be open and receiving. Yes. Larry, you're next.
Well, one lesson that I learned, especially this year and a little bit last year, was recruiting people that know how to do a task better than me. And that is one lesson that I have learned. And that has actually helped ease a lot of the stress that I have as
Yes.
a leader.
Yes, absolutely, Larry. When I'm the leader, I want to be the leader, and I want the very best cellists and violinists and pianists and trumpeters in my orchestra. I am not going to run around and play every instrument. I am going to lead the orchestra, but I want the very best musicians I can find. Same for any team that I have. So, as the leader, yes, we're only as good as the people on our team. Yeah, thank you. Melinda.
Can you hear me?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Hi, everybody. As a leader, it's very important to have I know you mentioned have to have an open mindset. But when I think about the open mindset, because my background is human resources, I'm doing my doctorate on toxic leadership. There are people that have served in roles that were toxic leaders, and then they bring that bondage to the new leader. So the goal is to be not just open-minded, but have a mindset to be a change agent. When you function as a change agent in your mind, sometimes you have to make those tough decisions because of dealing with bondage, toxic leadership from the past. So be mindful about that.
Beautiful. I love it. And if you probably have lots to think about and lots to observe when you come from the HR background, because having worked in HR also, you see all the things that don't work and how much energy and money is spent trying to solve those that don't. Thank you. Mark, what does a leader need?
And there's going to probably be different answers for different people, but what has been successful for me is being responsive to the team, or to your group or to your members. And the ones you have to be the most responsive to are the new members that you can tell visually, audibly, that they're uncomfortable. This is a whole new environment. And because our club has people from Kenya, Dubai, China, it's all the things we're talking about. So we need to, anytime they text, WhatsApp, email, we have to be on there immediately now because we have time zone differences, but now there's language barriers. So we have to really take that opportunity to, okay, we hear you, we're responsive. But now becomes an anticipation of this person is visibly uncomfortable or something's not right. So we need to be responsive to key into that. You know, what's going on. And the biggest, it's been mentioned, AI. I'm in the generation, that can be a struggle. We have to learn that. And so anyone it's in my age realm, we have to be understanding to that. That's an anticipation. Be able to respond to that. Can we help you with that? And then they see that kindness. Wow, they care about me in that. So that's being responsive.
Great. Thank you. And likewise, we on this side expect it from the other people, whoever they are. So when we say they, we are they're they. So we have to remember that when we show up and want to communicate with them, that whoever them and us are, that we're all in this together. So that we want that also, that reciprocity for us, because we're they do this or don't do that. So yeah, very good. Thank you, Lois. And then we'll have Sharon, and then we'll move on. Lois.
Thank you so much. Negotiating conflict or helping others negotiate conflict, or even a club who is in conflict. As a mentor, you provide a special gift of honesty, caring, and feedback, and you're teaching them how to develop a safe learning environment. And when people feel cared for and they feel that they're in a safe environment, the communication just flows. And so negotiating conflict is so important to building our leaders. And we have an opportunity to teach them how to promote that safe, positive learning environment.
Yeah. Thank you, Lois. And that's a very specific, specialized skill. And when I got into district leadership, I was one of the people that flight was my choice. I would run and hide in another room, not even in the same room. And I went and signed up, and I took a 2-year course, a certificate program on conflict resolution, mediation, and negotiation, because I was so terrified of conflict, and I saw it as a barrier to being a leader. So when we go through leadership in Toastmasters won't teach us everything we need to learn to be a strong leader. It won't fill every gap, but it will help us identify them. And then we need to go and find either mentoring or training, some kind of coaching to fill those gaps that we have. Toastmasters can't be expected to feed us everything that we need. It just can't do that. That's not its mandate. But yeah, so thank you for raising that important skill set. Sharon, and you're the last on this discussion. Thank you.
The most important thing a leader needs is followers.
Yes.
And knowing their why. Why are they following you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love it. Yes. When I was quite a new Toastmaster, one of my colleagues said to me that, said, if you're leading and you turn around and nobody's following you, you've got to recognize that you're just out for a walk by yourself. And then he said, so find a parade and get in front of it. And I never understood what he meant. And I never forgot that. For decades, I walked around, find a parade and get in front of it. I never understood what that meant. And then when I sat down to write my book on corporate, I went, I'm in front of a parade because there's a whole need and people are looking for something, and I'm out in front because I'm writing the book. Not that I had all the answers for sure, but I finally understood what he meant. So Sometimes these mentors, they tell us stuff and it takes us years to figure it out. So I want to share with you, thank you all for sharing all those ideas. And I'm sure that there's many more that you've got in your mind. Dee Dee wrote, be patient, humble, observant, and respectful. Absolutely. Sounds close to our core values, doesn't it? Yeah. So let's have a look at the next phrase. So top characteristics of a great leaders. And I Googled this out of Forbes. So I researched this out of Forbes magazine. And we're not going to spend a lot of time on it, but I want you to just, even if you want to write them down or take a screenshot, whatever, but just contemplate over time how you have learned these skills or expanded these skills in Toastmasters and your leadership roles. Or how could that young member that's coming to you saying, should I go on and be an area director? Like, what could I learn? And I would suggest that they could learn some of these things and they would build these characteristics. So constant, genuine, and curious leader sounds a lot like that learning leader line, doesn't it? So being constant, genuine, and curious, because the reality is in today's world, we're irrelevant so quickly. Like I get on calls and the talk is about all the AI tools and how this is happening and this is happening. And if you're not up to date and using these tools, you're soon out of the conversation. You don't know what's going on. Creates and articulates a clear vision. Every great leader that I've met, powerful leaders, leaders that are starting out that are amazing, they have a clear vision. That if I said, where do you see yourself going? What do you see yourself creating? They can articulate it because they've spent the time to get clarity and passion and forward momentum for their vision. And then they're also able to do that with a team if they've got their own clarity on that. So characteristics of great leaders, they articulate and create clear vision. Here's what Mark talked about, I think it was, is doesn't have to be the smartest person in the room. Was that you, Mark, that was saying that? No, somebody else. Okay, sorry. Oh, that was Larry, I think. Anyway, sorry. Somebody was talking about, I don't need to be the smartest person in the room. I'm going to find the best people for my team that I can find. And yes, have the best musicians in your orchestra that you can find. Leaders today focus on outcomes, not credit. We're not worried about if I get a pat on the back or if I get a bonus or if I get a DTM or if I get a triple crown, or that's a recognition in our organization, but that's not your outcome. If you're just going through the motions to get a triple crown pin, you're not focused on the right thing, in my opinion. It's what are you learning while you're doing those three achievements to earn that recognition. For me, that pin recognizes that the achievements, the outcomes that you've had as a result of doing all that work. So look, great leaders focus on outcomes, not credits. Now, let's face it, people get credit because we practice that. But there's lots of places in the world we don't get credit. And there are lots of places in the world where great leaders do things that are invisible. I bet every one of you could tell me something that you've done at least in the last month, probably a lot less time than that nobody knows about, that you did for someone else. And if you haven't, I'm going to challenge you as a leader to think of something that you could do that is not credited, is not acknowledged, but you do because it does good and it does something for somebody, and it's your leadership in that area. Great leaders do not wave on ethics. You have a line and we keep to it. This is easy for me. This was easy for me in Toastmasters because we have very strong policies, bylaws, guidelines, protocol. And so we have a strong backing. This is important as great leaders to determine our own personal values and where we stand and where we waver or where we refuse to waver. And sometimes it's difficult to stand for those ethics, but that's who we are. If we're a great leader, we make a stand, right? It's not blaming anyone else, it's making a stand for us. Great leaders today can show vulnerability. It's not bombastic behavior that's a great leader. There's a lot of vulnerability there. Who do we relate to? We relate to the people that can relate to us, right? When people don't relate to us, it's like, hello, you can't, how can you say you're my leader? You don't even know me. You don't understand me. You don't understand my circumstances. You don't see where I live. You don't see my challenges. Same as, and this happens in Toastmasters. When we stand up, aren't we sensitive to that icebreaker? Don't we evaluate that icebreaker differently than we evaluate the DTM speech? Because we, as a leader in that club, are vulnerable. We remember our icebreaker. We relate to them. We have empathy. If somebody comes in and they have a speech impediment, or they're working on English as a second, third, fourth, fifth language, they are showing vulnerability and leading in their life, but we also show vulnerability in our club in acknowledging and relating to them and being vulnerable with them. So we need to not go, oh, well, just buck up and get it done. That doesn't work. That's not what leadership's about. So showing vulnerability, knowing when we tell our stories that people can relate to, and people for the most part don't want to hear about our wins. They want to hear about the time we fell on our face, interestingly enough, and how we got up and how we went on from there, but showing vulnerability. And certainly great leaders want others to succeed and help them to do so. And again, this is so much our attitude and our perspective in the Toastmasters meetings and organization. As area directors, as division directors, as district officers, as international directors, as international officers, these are important. These are important because we need great leaders. We need people who are not there to put on a show, but are caring for them, that they're careful stewards of our program, and that they, in vulnerability, allow others to hold them accountable for what they said they would do so that they would actually continue to learn and focus on their outcomes, not just the credit. Okay. So hopefully there's some things there for you to think about beyond what I've just mentioned today. One of the next things that I found was really critical as a leader in my own personal experience was reflection. And I don't know how you use reflection in your life, but for me, it's that quiet time when I sit back and I go, yeah, I did that speech, but there's some things that didn't work out the way I thought they would, and I'm going to repeat it. That might be a result of my reflection, looking back, saying, did I do my best? Did I do what I intended to do? Same as a leader. Looking back on how did that meeting go? How did that executive meeting go? What could I do better next time? We don't have to wait for other people as leaders to tell us what to do next time. We look back and say, where's the model? How far or how close am I to the model? And how can I make it better next time? So always looking at what can I do? Did I when you walk away from greeting that new guest or doing orientation for a new officer, do you walk away and go, oh, that might have been a better way, or that might have been an easier way, or I didn't understand, so I need to go back to them. Didn't understand. So always reflecting back, always learning about ourselves and for ourselves, and looking at that reflection of ourselves. As a leader today in Toastmasters, and when you're looking at taking leadership roles, be prepared to continually learn, read books, listen to podcasts, talk to people that have done the role, talk to people who have been successful in the role. Find a mentor, find somebody who has excelled in the role that you want to take on. Go and find out who was area director of the year 5 years ago and ask them to mentor you if they're still active. Likewise with division, likewise with club growth. Go find the best club growth director you've ever heard of. Nowadays, it can be anywhere in the world, and ask them to be your mentor. I received my mentor when I was club growth director. My mentor was somebody I watched at international convention. I didn't even know his name, but I watched him and I listened to him. Nowadays, they would say I stalked him, but that's not true. I just followed him around. But I saw something and I observed the behavior and I listened to his conversations with people and got myself in that group. And I thought, I need to learn from this person. And I walked up to him before the end of the convention and I said, would you be my mentor for the next 3 years in district leadership? And he said, you bet. Who are you? And I said, I'm the brand new club growth director for District 21. He said, well, I know your district, you need help. So, but find people that you can respect and that you can use as a model and continually learn. Attend events. And I'm amazed, and thank you all for coming to this event as past leaders to hear different perspectives and discussion around this. But and always keep learning. I find that I read a book for my coaching practice and I hear so much in that book that applies to Toastmasters. I pick up a book on conflict and I see so many things. I pick up a book on conversational skills and I see so many things that apply. Accountability, on and on and on. Every book I pick up, I can put in the context of Toastmasters one way or another. Reading diversity. So I'm on a equity, diversity, and inclusion committee at my competitive chorus, performance chorus. And all of that transfers into Toastmasters for me because it's brand new, like it's new today, what we're talking about. It's not my 20 years in equity and diversity back in the early 2000s, but this is today. I talked to my mentees about AI. I had a huge conversation just so when we're learning, we learn from people from all different positions and places in our organization. Stay curious, learn, grow, and explore. Keep going. And I'm going to encourage you to stay outside your comfort zone. I always say that if you're comfortable, you're not learning. Or my best guess is that you're not learning, because I know when I'm learning things, I'm uncomfortable. I think I'm not up to par. I'm not doing it good enough. I've got to keep practicing and I feel uncomfortable. But we know that that's where possibility exists. If we just stay inside our comfort zone, we're just going to be the same old that we were last year. And so we need to keep improving and expanding and pushing ourselves and expanding that comfort zone. If you've never competed in a tall tales contest, push yourself to do that. Pretty soon that'll be within your comfort zone. And now people will be coming to you to ask you as a leader of tall tales contests. What is it like? How do I prepare? How did you handle it? Etc. So keep expanding your comfort zone and it'll keep you engaged. Want to encourage you to find an accountability partner. Find somebody who loves you enough that will hold you accountable. And I use the word love purposefully because I think all my accountability partners love me. If they didn't, they wouldn't bug me like they do. And so find somebody that can be your accountability partner when you're in leadership and you want to be and encourage others in leadership. And then when you mentor and support newer leaders coming in, or if you're a new leader coming in, seek out an accountability partner. They're there for you. They're the greatest support really. And it's an honor to be an accountability partner, in my opinion. So what we know, oh my goodness, sorry about that, folks. So I love this quotation. Doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results has been defined as insanity. And I think that as learning leaders, leaders that are learning through leadership will continually look at ways to do things differently. It's like if you're an actor and you're on the stage, you don't present that role the exact same way every time you do it, do you? How do you keep things alive? If you're a professional speaker and you present a speech 100 times a year, you do different things with it each time you're on the stage to keep it alive. So what do you do to keep your leadership alive? It's that vulnerability, it's that continuous growth, it's that curiosity, and it's looking at doing things differently each time you do them so that you keep moving forward. So I'm going to leave you with this, that I encourage you, because I know that most of you, just like me, arrived in Toastmasters to learn. And my verb still for Toastmasters is learning. I hope that what I've shared in this short presentation, well, short for me, probably long for you, has tweaked your mind of things that you could support the people in your district that want to step up. Share with them some of the benefits they would get from going into leadership, how they would be a great leader, what they could do to continually grow, and how that all becomes transferable skills. Because if I'm catering an event in my community, or I'm singing in my performance chorus, or I'm leading a transition meeting for districts that are merging together, or if I'm sitting at a board meeting of a community, that is all what I learned in Toastmasters. That's where I get to practice it. And then we get to take it to our community. And people recognize us when we walk into the room that we've had leadership training and that we are leaders. It is not invisible. It screams when people walk in the room that have done it and have done it successfully and carry those traits and characteristics of great leaders today. So I want to thank each one of you for being that great leader that walks into a room that helps younger members or new members aspire to be just like you, and that aspire to sit on the board or be the next district director, whatever it might be, or to make a difference in their work community or their community where they live. And so I turn that baton over to each one of you to carry forward, to stay curious, to stay engaged, stay relevant, and be the great leaders that you are, because the world needs you and Toastmasters needs you so much today. So I'll return control to my friend Jeremiah, and we'll see what's next. Over to you,
Great.
Jeremiah.
Thank you so much, Pat. Thank you so much. I really appreciate this. Fantastic. But for each of you online, just know that we're going to go to break here in a couple minutes, but we are going to finish up the day with some little bit more words of wisdom from Pat as we kind of wrap up the day. So don't go anywhere. There's still a little bit more to be shared and everything. With that, I want to go ahead and put us on break. We're going to take about 6 minutes till 3 o'clock. I'm going to open up the breakout rooms, and I will be assigning you to rooms myself. And then from there, we will be coming back at 3:40. I will be closing the rooms. We'll bring all you back. Pat's going to have some closing comments. And then from there, we will also have, I know what you're all waiting for, is the official forms to be released. So we'll be releasing the forms at the end, doing all that good stuff. I know. It's the forms that we all came for, not Pat, but you will get there. But with that, once again, thank you so much, Pat, for sharing. I really appreciate it. It was an amazing message. Please, let's go and take 5 minutes. And as soon as you guys get back, you'll see a pop up in your computer. that'll invite you to go to a breakout room, join your breakout room. Each of you will have moderators in there that will be facilitating that conversation. And Pat's also going to be jumping from room to room, kind of just checking on you and making sure you guys aren't slacking. Thank you so much. In the chat, so as I said, I'm the District 203 chair. So if you are within the boundaries of District 203, or if you're within the boundaries of 202, you would contact Jesse. Founders District, you would contact Joyce. If you happen to be from District 201, that is going to be Joan Lewis, who is the chair. I am also right now putting in the chat for each of you the documents that we're looking to be completed. There's a couple of documents that need to be done. There's a call for nominations form. There's a nominating form, a biographical form, and then I've also attached the competency forms. We've talked a lot about what you can be able to get out of district leadership. The competency form is something you're able to review and see the skills that you can learn. We are all actively looking for district directors, program quality directors, club growth directors, and division directors. And I hope each of you explore the opportunities. Personally, I love the part of leadership, the growth that you can have in district leadership, and just is from a division director up and all the way throughout is amazing. And I encourage each of you to give it a try. Try it, see if it fits for you. But more importantly, the thought and the process of serving our members is key. So with that, I want to thank you everybody once again for coming. If you have any questions whatsoever after today, please feel free to reach out to myself, Jesse, or Joyce. Forms are scheduled to be back for at least District 202 by February 15th. Then we will be scheduling interviews from there. Before we leave, I do want to open up the floor for Joyce and Jesse if they may have anything or any parting words.
Jeremiah, do you mean 203 for you?
Huh?
You said 202.
Oh, I did. Sorry, 203. Sorry, I only have a high school education, so counting past 200 gets pretty tough. All right.
Hey, don't worry.
And clearly, I make bad choices because I'm a Cowboys fan, so it's been a rough season.
No
worries.
Rough
30 years. Okay.
No worries. I got my abacus right here. That's how I counted, so I'm good. So as for behalf of D202, we already had our due date for anyone's interested in that. That's already passed. But if you're ever interested and want to run from the floor, feel free to contact me, and I'll go over the steps and details with you by email, by phone number, or anywhere else. I'd be more than happy to help on a D202. And remember, this is our chapter. This is our beginning. And relax. We're all Toastmasters here. And I'll pass the ball to Joyce. Joyce, the ball is passed to you.
All right, thank you. In regards to the forms for filing your candidacy, they are on each one of your district websites. So they're on District 5. They're also on Founders. And they are, if you go to the District 100 and look for Division S, it'll direct you to the forms as well. Our deadline for submitting your forms is March 1st. And you will be receiving a weekly constant contact, again, reminding for nominations with all the attachments on there as well. Thank you. Back to you, Jeremiah. Thank you.
Great. Thank you both so much. And I will also be following up today. Everybody who registered through Zoom, I have your contact information. I will also be following up as well with a copy of those forms attached. With that, once again, thank you all so much for joining us today. It was great to be able to see you all on this lovely Sunday. And Pat, once again, thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you for your time, Pat and Jeremiah.
Thank you,
and
Pat.
all.
Thank you all so much. Have a great day,
Thank you
everybody.
very much.
Take care, everybody.
Take care. Bye for now.
Thank you.